The Bengals added 6 external free agents. It's time to hand out grades right now on Enter the Jungle. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller, and this show airs every single Tuesday night at 8 Eastern right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Proud to be part of the Big Play Network, and shout out to our sponsors, Tipico Sportsbook and Garage Beer. By the way, you can check us out every single week on Bally Sports as well. And Andrew, it's report card time. So that means that you're getting C's, D's, and F's like it's high school again, but maybe you'll give out some A's and B's. That is my awful transition into what the Bengals did in free agency. And every year on Cincinnati Bengals Talk, we give out free agents grades and grade their moves in free agency. This year, it's a part of Enter the Jungle, which is pretty cool. Let's start with Sheldon Rankins, and we will go free agent by free agent, all 6 that they've added, from Rankins to Geno, Vonn, Bell, Zack, Moss, Trent, Brown, Mike Gesicki. But let's start with Rankins because he's a big man in the middle. He aced the news conference. We played some of those clips on last week's show. What grade would you give the 2-year, $26 million deal that the Bengals were able to ink him to?
Well, first of all, I want to qualify my position on this. Let's keep in mind, I mean, I went to grad school to be a teacher, James. So X's and O's, average maybe, giving grades. I paid a lot of money to make sure there was some value in that. So here we go.
Let's see if it paid off.
Paid off. Yes, it was all for this moment, James. All of it. Sheldon Rankins, I think that's an easy one for me. It's a solid A. I mean, disruptive, a force that this team needed at the position. I don't love the price, but it's not bad by any means. It's not just offensively over the top. I love it. It's an A for me. There's no doubt.
I get it. I do. And it's because it's been their weakness. It's been the fly in the ointment over the past couple of years. Trey Hendrickson last year just dominates off the edge. And going into that final week, we thought he could realistically lead the NFL in sacks. And yet when you feel it felt like the Bengals weren't getting pressure regularly, even though you have Trey Hendrickson on one side. And it's because Sam Hubbard was banged up. Myles Murphy is someone that they're banking on this year to take a step, but he was just a rookie last year. And so they didn't have any internal pressure, anyone on the inside of that defensive front that could get pressure. And Sheldon Rankins is the opposite. He is going to be a beast. He's certainly going to be a leader. And I agree with you. I think it's pretty simple to me. And you're right, 2 years, $26 million. It's not a great value signing. It's a market deal. But the difference is, can you imagine if they didn't sign Sheldon Rankins? What would we be talking about? What level of player would we be talking about? They lose DJ Reader, and that stinks. It stinks because Rankins would have paired really well with Reader and Hill. But they're better as a pass rush. Their pass rush is much better now than it was a month ago. Their pass rush is much better now than it was if they had added DJ Reader and just brought back the band of BJ Hill and DJ Reader and then maybe drafted someone. So I really like the signing. I would give it a B+ to an A- right in there because it's certainly above average. It's really, really good. I still have questions about the interior of the Bengals defensive front, but it's not Sheldon's fault. So Let's just call it a B+ for me. And let's go from that to the Bengals' first signing, Geno Stone. The safety from Baltimore. It's 2 years, $14 million. Andrew, I look at this deal, and he can make up to $15 million over the life of this deal. This is someone they felt like they needed to have. They prioritized him. I led the show a few weeks ago with this. They targeted guys, and they went after them. They weren't necessarily top of the market guys. They weren't in on Justin Simmons, who's the big name. No, they looked at Geno Stone and said, that's what we need in our secondary. And they got it for a reasonable price. They didn't break the bank. They didn't have to go 4 or 5 years with this guy. And who knows? Maybe he's on the team for 4 or 5 years. But for the next 2 seasons, he should be able to shore up the back end and be a factor. I'm going to give this one an A because it's not big money. And I think that the secondary, I'm bullish on this Bengals secondary. More on that in a bit. But I like Geno Stone and what he brings.
I'm right there with you for all the reasons that you spelled out. And I would emphasize the deal itself, right? The contract that he has. It's thankfully, if it had just been a prove it deal for some reason, like a 1 year, I would have been much lower on this. I like that it's 2 years, and I especially like that year 2, they're not on the hook for much, relatively speaking, after that first year. So upward trajectory. He fits the mold for, I think, what the Bengals are looking for on almost all fronts. So yeah, it's a good deal overall. That's an A.
It is. And it goes hand in hand with Vonn Bell. And I think that's what's interesting here is if you would have told the Bengals 4 weeks ago, that they could get Vonn Bell, I wonder if they would still be all in on Geno Stone. I think they were already in on Geno and they landed him, and then they realized they could get Vonn Bell for league minimum while the Panthers pay him, and they were like, well, what the heck, let's do it. And so I have questions about how it's going to work with Dax Hill, Jordan Battle, Vonn Bell, and Geno Stone. But Vonn Bell for league minimum is one of the best value contracts throughout the NFL, period. It's stealing. And honestly, I would send Carolina a nice basket, a full of goodies, office style, like Michael Scott trying to earn his clients back. That's what I would do. I'd thank the Carolina Panthers. Thank you, David Tepper, for giving out guaranteed money, because now Vonn Bell's on this roster. And I really don't know. I think Geno Stone's going to start. Who's going to start alongside him? I could certainly see Vonn Bell starting. Jordan Battle had a really good rookie year. I think Dax Hill's the most talented safety in that room. And so where do they go? He certainly has the highest ceiling, Dax Hill does. I don't know who's going to start alongside Geno Stone, but I think it could be Vonn Bell. And so when you take all of that into consideration, it's hard not to give it an A. And if you give it anything other than an A, well, I'm going to make fun of you because you've given the first two an A.
Are you saying you're giving Vonn Bell an A, or are you saying also we're still talking Geno Stone grade here on your?
No, Vonn Bell gets an A too.
A+ for me.
There you go.
That is my spoiler. It's the only A+ I'm going to give for this entire free agency sign. Why not? Are you kidding? A minimum deal, and Carolina's on the hook for guaranteed money, and you get the very thing we needed in that safety room. Veteran leadership, communication. We talked about it on the show before. You got all those things, and it was basically handed to you, fell into your lap. It's like that was it. Like you can't get better than that, other than maybe beyond a 1-year deal. But even then, I'm not going to dock points for that. Come on, A+. That's the only A+, James.
It's the only A+. Well, right now you've given out 3 A's. So
I know I've been very generous.
Thank God you're not teaching high schoolers, because that would have been a cakewalk. It would have been easy. I would have walked all over you.
Class is not over yet. I'm not done grading.
Yeah, right. All right. So we still have 3 left. One more in this segment. Zach Moss, who was one of the early signings as well. 2 years, $8 million. I love this signing. I think he fits culture-wise, personality-wise, scheme-wise, everything they're looking for. A running back that is young, and by young, I don't just mean age. I mean, he doesn't have 1,000+ carries and 2,000 touches. He fits scheme-wise. He doesn't break the bank because they're spending at other spots. I like it. I think it's a solid B+ in that range. At the same time, I still think they need to add to the running back room. So I will give it a solid B. I like the addition, though, and I think he's going to be a big factor on offense for the Bengals this season.
Yeah, I had that as a B+ myself, and it's for all the reasons you mentioned. Better fit for their offense. It's what the Bengals were going for, and they got what they wanted, and at a lower price tag. So, there's maybe some more upside well, for sure for Zach Moss, there's more upside as an explosive playmaker on the team. But you're right, and that's the thing that was looming over me, which is I don't feel like they're done yet. Whether that is the draft, whether they end up signing another free agent, I don't know. It felt incomplete. So yeah, B+. I like it.
Do you think the Bengals are better? It's clear they're better safety-wise.
Yeah.
Let's go back to our Sheldon Rankins grade. And you gave it an A, I gave it a B+. Are they better or worse in the defensive line room right now than they were last year when DJ Reader was healthy? It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Because, and here's why, as you're thinking through it, pass rush is better. Rankins brings the juice.
Yep.
No doubt. At the same time, they don't have this big nose tackle, and we don't know what's going to happen there on the nose tackle front. And who knows, maybe by the time people see this, it's different. But as of now, we're not sure what they do there, and that could be something they address in the draft. I think it's an interesting debate, because which one do you value more?
Maybe Lou's cooking up some new identity to that defense and the way they operate. I still wonder, there's still that hole that is left behind from DJ Reader, no doubt. And it's the role that he played. There's just no one out there free agency wise that I'm going to feel that much better about if they bring him in now. So yeah, do you address it in the draft, or do you just kind of fill out some rotational piece with guys that are being able to fill that spot? I don't know.
Yeah, I think in this day and age, and I know people are worried about Derrick Henry and worried about the run first AFC North. In this day and age, I would rather be able to get after the quarterback than stop the run. And this isn't an anti-DJ Reader thing, because in a perfect world, you would have Reader, Rankins, and Hill, and
a healthy Reader.
Great about so this has really nothing to do with Reader, the player. It's more of a philosophy thing. Like, if you're telling me, all right, the interior defensive front can get after the passer, well, I think that's something you take over a team that can stop the run and has a big run stopper in the middle. So it's just interesting. Something, as we were giving out these grades, that I thought I would throw out there. Did the Bengals ace free agency? Well, Andrew's given out 3 A's already. He's a pushover. We'll continue to hand out grades coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox-Miller. I'm James Rapien. Let's get to it, Andrew. We're giving out grades. Bengals free agency. They've added 6 external free agents. We gave out grades to the first 4. We have 2 more to get to. And let's start with their biggest addition. And by biggest, I mean physically biggest. Trent Brown was listed at 6'8", 380 in the Bengals official release when they signed him to a 1-year contract. Brown is going to be 31 years old in a couple of weeks and is expected to start at right tackle. Andrew, what grade do you give this signing?
So here's the thing. I was actually going to give this a B+, right? Then I saw the numbers, James. I saw the deal. I got excited. I'm not going to lie. I bumped it. I'm okay with A- if I'm going to go conservative. I'm giving this one an A, man. Are you kidding me? Look, let's look at the reality of the situation. We can't rely on Trent Brown all season. We can't assume that that's going to happen. We need depth. We need some guys rotating behind him with upside. We need to develop behind him. I get that. That's my concern. It's a 1-year deal. I don't love that. But those numbers are awesome.
This is my favorite. You need to be a high school teacher, so I can go back to high school. I have a 4.5 GPA.
Okay, all right.
I would get the best GPA. I'd be valedictorian.
Hey,
I'd be going to Brown University on a full ride.
If you get $2 million guaranteed, I'm not giving that an A. I'm telling you that for anything, James.
Hey, I agree with you. You see the deal, and I loved it before the deal. Like, if you would have said it was 1 year, he can make up to $8 million, I'd have been like, all right, that's not great, but it's fine. I would have felt the same way about some of these other offensive tackles. I think what happened is they had Mekhi Becton in for a visit, and this is just me reading the tea leaves. They offered him a similar number, and he was balked at it and was like, I'm going to wait. And they were like, okay, well, we like Trent Brown just as much, maybe more. I think Trent Brown's a better player today, certainly. And maybe they like Mekhi's upside, and that's why they went after him first. But they offer Trent Brown the same deal. He comes to town. He's in town for like 10 hours, signs the deal and flies out and is training in Texas the next day. I mean, Trent Brown was all in. And so when you look at the deal, $2 million signing bonus, a $4.4 million cap hit, that's backup tackle money.
Right.
That is, that's exactly the type of deal you want, because he's probably going to start for you. There's a very realistic chance the Bengals draft an offensive tackle at pick 18, and Trent Brown is still the starter week 1. Maybe not. Maybe the guy comes in and hits the ground running, and then Brown's your backup swing tackle, which is great because he can play the left side and the right side. But there's a ton to like about this Trent Brown deal, from his versatility, able to play both sides, the fact that he's a great fit. It's like Zach Moss from a fit perspective, because he's just a great pass blocker with his length and the way he's just comfortable in these one-on-one situations with these elite pass rushers. I know I've been making fun of you for giving out grades. This is an A++. This is 2 pluses. Because you're protecting the franchise. You're doing it with a guy who's highly motivated to show the league that he can still be a Pro Bowler. He's a perfect fit for your offense. And yeah, he's had some injury issues. Fine. He's making backup money. There is no downside to this at all. And so this is by far, to me, an easy A++. And with that, let's get to a really fun signing. Mike Gesicki. Hit the gritty, Mike. Mike Gesicki needs gritty lessons from Jamar Chase. He comes to Cincinnati, 1-year deal. What do you think about the Bengals' newest tight end?
So I agree with you. This is probably, from my perspective, this is a fun signing. And of all of these, this might be one of the most fun to me just because I think he's going to be a joy to watch on the field. I can already picture we're going to have training camp highlights and he's just going to be a blast to watch. With that said, I'm tired of the tight end carousel. I'm tired of these short-term deals. I think Gesicki could have been on a 2-year deal and it would have been I don't think it would have changed much in terms of cap hit or anything like that. I would have loved to have Gesicki or someone like him to more than this whole, like, he's going to get signed elsewhere. He's going to prove something, even if he's slightly better than he was in past several seasons. He's going to get more from somewhere else. With that said, I'm going to give this a B plus at best for that reason. But I love what he's going to bring to that room. I'm really excited to watch him.
Will you give it a B? Otherwise, it's B. It's been B pluses and A's for you. And again,
okay, fine. B.
A B. There you go. At least a B. Mike Gesicki, I give it an F. I'm just kidding. It's the opposite. I think he's the best tight end Joe Burrow has had. I get the sentiment about a 2-year deal. He probably didn't want that, and they're not paying him a lot. This is the Irv Smith Jr. contract, where it's $2 million, and he can hit incentives up to $3+ million. I like that the Bengals prioritized him, and they said, "Hey, we think you're going to be a fit. You're going to help make up for the loss of Tyler Boyd." I like the signing a lot. A- from me, and we've handed out grades now. It's time to discuss our favorite signing. We will get to our favorite signing, Andrew. Think about it, since you gave out all those A's. We'll do that coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller. We're talking Bengals free agency. They added Sheldon Rankins, Geno Stone, Vonn Bell, Zack Moss, Trent Brown, Mike Gesicki, 6 external free agents. Which one was your favorite?
Well, obviously, I got very excited about the Vonn Bell and signing. I gave it the A+. I think by default, I'm going to have to stick with that one. But I will say that I really, really like the Geno Stone signing. I think that he is going to be a blast to watch on this defense. I think we're going to see immediate contributions from him. And I think we're all going to wish we had him for longer than 2 years, although I'm very happy with the fact that he got a 2-year deal from the Bengals. So
my favorite is probably the Trent Brown deal. In the fact that you can have 2 twin towers, what can Brown do for you? You could combine with Orlando Brown Jr. By the way, shout out to Orlando for coming on the show last week. Make sure you check that out if you missed it. But have the 2 towers, the 2 mountains on each side of Joe Burrow. But the Gesicki gritty and Gesicki, like, I love it. And I think Dan Hoard's going to come up with something really fun with that. And Mike Gesicki, I think, and there's plenty of time to discuss numbers, but I think he's going to have a really big year. That would be 1A for me. So I really like those last 2. That's why I saved them from a grade standpoint, Trent Brown and Mike Gesicki. Overall, like, I like all of their moves. That's what's awesome about this. I think that they made good moves, but what puts them over the top is going to be their current roster and those guys getting better. Obviously, Joe Burrow's health. We got an update. He's expected to throw at some point during the offseason program. It feels that way. So hopefully that happens, and we'll have more about that as it comes along here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. But there were some new rules. Did you see this? I haven't gone to the league meetings, the NFL owners meetings. They're in Orlando. I need to make it a point to get my tail down to Orlando. Oh, yeah. Andrew, for these. I've never been, and I see all these reporters on the beach and hanging out and on the resort or at the resort. No, I'm jealous. But there's some rule changes. We're going to react to the hip drop tackle that Logan Wilson is somehow the poster boy for, coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox Miller. I'm James Rapien. And Logan Wilson, Andrew, Bengals linebacker, has somehow become the poster boy for this hip drop tackle that has been outlawed. And I get why it's outlawed, because there's been multiple injuries with this tackle. In fact, Drew Sample lost for the season in 2022 because of a hip drop tackle. Tyler Boyd in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, the loss at Arrowhead, and I think they win that game if Boyd's out there. He got hurt on a hip drop tackle. The problem with it is officials, it's subjective. And whether or not they call it, it's leaving it all into the officials' hands. What are your thoughts on this and your concerns?
I'm with you in that it's the interpretation. More importantly, the real time on the field interpretation. Yeah. I understand they might be making some concessions with replay and things like that. My ask would be this: make it as clear as you can. I know that's a huge ask, but make it as clear as you can, because I feel like I understand it now. But how many times do we sit there and maybe read an article or watch an interpretation or watch replays to understand it better? Imagine how many things are clear cut that we aren't seeing officials doing right now. They've got enough on their hands, apparently. All I'm asking for is each time it happens, guaranteed replay. I'm sitting here saying right now, ruin my sport as I sit and watch it on TV. I get tired of things being held up with flags as it is, but all the replay, add this one to the mix, because I feel like you almost have to at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some concern there. My football end of it, and this is what I would do, and this is just thinking draft wise, I would draft guys that are great yak guys. So Jamar Chase, obviously explosive. First man never gets him down. Brock Bowers is like that. Okay, so he won't be there at 18. You know who's really good at his pro day on Monday? Malachi Corley, the Western Kentucky wide receiver, ran between a 4.5 and a 4.7 and benched 27 reps of 225 pounds at 5'10", 207. This dude is a tank. He's tough to bring down. That's what I would want. Explosive weapons that are tough to bring down, because it's going to be harder to bring them down. I think that's what the smart teams will do. And this is the draft to do it. Malachi Corley, round 2, pick 49. I think I'm in, Andrew.
So you're hearing this news and trying to interpret it, and you're like, I'm going to find a way to exploit this, is what you're thinking.
No doubt. That's what every NFL team should be.
I understand.
It was a unanimous decision. How do I make my team better now? Go ahead, Duke. Cook. And how do you cook? By getting explosive weapons that are great after the catch, which you were looking for anyway. The Bengals were looking for that anyway. Now they have more incentive to do that. We are going to have you covered when it comes to the NFL draft, which is just a month away, right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you get notified. And as far as Enter the Jungle is concerned, we're here every Tuesday night at 8 Eastern. For Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching Enter the Jungle.
A+ outro, James. That's my final grade on you.